I'm gonna give a quick overview of the agenda, so we're all on the same page. All right, so this is our agenda for today. Thanks everyone for being here. We'll go ahead and start I have a couple presentations today. The first one's going to be from Kurt from Cal OES, who just joined us. Then we have Bax, who's going to be talking about some of their programs. We are also going to have Danielle at ACBH do a demo of the mobile crisis map that they've created, which is a way to better understand what services are available in different parts of the county. There had been a request for a tool like that a number of months ago. So it's really cool to kind of see that come to fruition. Then I'll go ahead and give some updates from our end. We have a Lunch and Learn series going on right now. We have a walk run coming up where we are looking for folks to host information tables at the health and wellness fair component of it. And we'll also open it up to any updates in the room and any requests for us. So aside from getting it together with Zoom for next time. So we'll go ahead and get started. If you want to put in the chat kind of your name, your role, just as a way for us to know who's in the room, it's always nice. I know many of us get to work together regularly. And with that, Kurt, I'm going to hand it to you. Do you need share screen? You're on mute.
Sorry. So I don't have a
Okay.
slide to share.
No worries.
I would have, maybe next time we'll have something to talk to, but I'm usually, the role that I play as a project manager is to really facilitate a lot of relationships behind the scenes that make telecom traffic, IT traffic kind of work together. And so in that, we've partnered with NGA 911. They're our chosen vendor for the 988 call handling system. And so we're excited about it. We've made a lot of progress with them. Some of you have probably already, we've had a chance to meet with all of the centers throughout the state that handle 988. And we've done sort of some initial data gathering that's completed for all of our centers. We did lose one center. Yolo County is out, as most people know. So we had 13 and we're down to a family of 12. So we're trying to make sure that, we cover all our bases, having good initial conversations. And these conversations, just for those who aren't privy to those, really stem around getting to know what the 988 centers need in terms of reporting, what they're currently doing in their business today, discussing on-site power and network connections, discussing how we must interoperate with 911 and 988 in general. We've identified that we're doing that today, but we're building out a new system. So this is like a lot of new stuff. So it's kind of discovery, and then the follow-up meetings that are taking place now are basically doing real physical site surveys. So we actually send an engineer out and we'll begin kind of doing a survey of the telco carrier or carrier, carriers that serve the buildings where the 988 centers are at. And just answering a lot of questions around that: electrical, space in the back room, environmental conditions, and then looking at workspaces if there are workspaces. A lot of times we know that folks are remote. So we're kind of in that process right now. We have made a lot of progress, and I'm not just saying that. We just completed the lab installation this week in the 911 lab here in Sacramento with NGA. So we're going to hope to have our engineers log into their system to begin looking under the hood this week, hopefully this next Thursday. And which will be a real great, real good step in the process, because anything we do out in the field has to be done in our lab first. So we have to validate all interconnectivity between the systems of the 911 system providers and the 988 system provider. Another big accomplishment is we've made a lot of progress with Vibrant. Vibrant, of course, is the national provider for 988 technology. And so they work with a company called Intrado and a lot of different folks behind the scenes. So we are already in the engineering discussions with Vibrant. Those guys are working with us. It's pretty straightforward, and I'm really encouraged by the cooperation we have with them. They're on track for our first installs in June. So we expect that we'll be able to be in the lab before that, of course, with Vibrant, but we expect that we'll be able to start turning up our first sites in June. If for those of you who don't know, we've talked about this. The statute, 988 statute, says that the Cal OES, the state, has to complete 6 installs by the end of June, so 1st of July. So we have a lot of work to do, and then we have to complete at that time was the additional 7, the additional 6 at this point, by the end of July 2024. So we've divided. I don't have a full list in front of you of who's in those 2 groups, but the larger centers we probably are going to be putting towards the group 2 deployment cycle, just in terms of complexity. We've actually made a lot of progress with a couple of centers in the north. We're working with Star Vista. We're working with Alameda. We're working with. Sorry if I use cities, locations, and don't get the names right up front. I apologize for that. I'll get better. Working with Santa Cruz, working with San Rafael, Steve Diamond up there with Buckaloo and Central Coast.
Sure, I have a question here.
Yeah. Sorry, did I not see that?
No, no worries.
I'm going off.
No worries. So in our group here, of course, like we're the 988 provider, and the other folks in the room, there's many PSAPs in the room, 911 providers,
Okay.
as well as community agencies here in Alameda County. And could you give us a sense of when things are set up? What does it mean for 988 and 911 to have interoperability? Like, what would that look like in practice?
So in post-production, without getting into too granular detail, post-production, we expect that when we turn up the 988 centers, you are going to be essentially an additional site for Next Gen 911. You're not 911, but you're an additional site. So we're actually adding you to the Next Gen 911 network, and that you have to have interoperability into our Next Gen network. So this 988 project is coming along at a time when we're deploying, those PSAPs are on the phone here, we're deploying Next Gen 911 statewide. So we've been in this process, and it is a migration. It's not just we cut it the next day, like maybe phone services of the past. We're migrating calls. So in the north region, southern region, central region, LA region, we're migrating all those calls. So that's still standing up. We're not fully Next Gen in the state of California just yet. But as 988 comes on, we're adding equipment to your back room, and we're adding a technology that will interoperate with Next Gen. We actually have a Next Gen 911 provider that's selected for the 988 call handling system. So we kind of already have the ecology established. With regards to interoperability, just to kind of put it in just simple terms, similar to the way a Next Gen 911 PSAP, CHP, or any other PSAP today would have push button access to a external resource, such as another PSAP or poison control, language line services, or their foreign language, suicide prevention. We all have the same push button access for interoperability in our new Next Gen network with 988, and vice versa. We will have the ability for 988 folks to be able to have one push button access to the PSAP so they can get resources that they need should they need them. So that's a little bit about the interoperability without getting into the specifics of how the
Definitely, that's
IP connections are
helpful.
made. Yeah.
That's helpful.
Any
These-
other questions? Sorry, I'm
No.
just rolling off the tongue here, or just I don't want to take a ton of your time, but
No worries.
I'm here to
Alexis,
support you guys.
you have a gentle finger up.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't know if it's the best. I don't want to open up a can of worms, but Kurt, can you say again? You're calling it a PSAP, and I might have missed something, but like, can you? How is
Sorry.
that spelled? No,
That's
that's
my
okay, but
mistake.
that's
That's my
okay.
mistake. It's sticking acronyms in my head. So PSAP in our state is Public Safety Answering Point. Other places throughout the country call them Emergency Communication Center. Courtney's on here. Courtney, what do you guys refer to you guys as, the CHP folks? Are you guys communication centers, correct? Emergency communication centers?
Yeah, we use communication center, but you can also
Okay.
use PSAP.
There
We
it
use
is.
them
All right, thank
interchangeable.
you, Carly. Yeah, so PSAP is Public Safety Answering Point. That's where the designated calls for the jurisdiction in your local town where you live will go. Emergency 911 calls will go to the PSAP.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Any other questions regarding kind of the tech end of things? I know this doesn't apply to everyone in the room, but it feels really important for people to know kind of what are the next steps in having the system be more integrated, especially considering the fact that when we first started 988, nothing had really changed on the back end, right? It was just a new way to get a hold of the same service. But slowly we're moving towards the point where the service is slowly shifting and it's becoming more comprehensive, I would say. So it feels important to keep our closest crisis partners in the loop about that. And the time frame is the first batch of centers, which we are a part of here in Alameda, are supposed to be on by July.
Yeah, so time frame is the first part of July. Barring any major catastrophes, the statute has us doing it by July. So the strategy we're looking at, and we'll hope to roll out more information statewide so people can know like where we at least plan to be. And I mentioned some concerns already, but we'll get more into great detail as we get a little closer. We'll have NGA do another kickoff call with that, so folks could be expecting that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kurt, for the update and for making yourself available to our group today. You're more than welcome to stay if you're curious about what's happening here.
Yeah, thank you.
Also won't be offended if you drop off.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Of course. All right. Do we have a colleague here from BACS who is making a presentation on Amber House and Wellness Centers?
Good afternoon. I am here.
Yes, perfect. Let me know if you want to share screen. I'm not saying we expect any slides or anything. We love just talking to folks, but if you need those powers, let me know and I can do that.
I don't have any slides. You can provide me access. I do have flyers that I can put on the screen for both sites, and then I'll just email them to you so that they can be dispersed out to the group here.
That's great. I'd be happy to send it out with the notes.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for allowing me space in your meeting today. My name is Shanice Kelly. I am the Director of Mental Health with Bay Area Community Services. And on today, I'm sharing some information in regards to our Amber Crisis Stabilization Unit and our Amber Crisis Residential Program. Both of these resources are located in Oakland at 516 31st Street. It is a two-story home. The bottom floor is our crisis stabilization unit, and the top floor serves as our crisis residential program. So our crisis stabilization unit has, we're coming up on about 4 years of being in operation and being of support to our overall system in helping individuals that are identified as high utilizers with emergency services. So we're going to places like John George, They may be going to other various hospitals or showing up at places just because they ran out of medication. They may not necessarily have a place to stay for the night and feel unsafe. They are experiencing some type of mental health symptoms that they're not able to manage independently. And often we see these individuals present after hours once case management teams, are gone for the can divert individuals from being incarcerated or utilizing beds that can be used for others that may be in need of actual hospitalization. So we provide a brief psychosocial assessment once they come on site to the CSU, and then they're able to meet with clinicians. We also have nurses on site for evaluations as well. And then we have 24-hour access to psychiatry services as well. It is an open style space, so it can hold up to 16 beds. And the beds are, they're like the typical hospital beds that sit up and then you can lay flat as well. And what we think is most individuals just need someone to talk to throughout the night or a safe place to kind of rest. And they may be coming off some type of substance use as well. What has been really great with the CSU is that these are opportunities for us to reconnect individuals or connect them to services that would help decrease the recidivism that we're seeing with the system. So we are reconnecting them to their service teams. Some individuals may need support getting reconnected to Medi-Cal. And now what we have done as part of our discharge planning is we're offering transportation directly to one of BAC's wellness centers, which we have some located in Oakland, Hayward, Fremont, and also Pleasanton. So it's a safe landing place for individuals that have been with us for up to 23 hours. In addition to that, we also support individuals with referrals into crisis residential programs like Amber House Upstairs, which is a program where someone can receive services for up to 14 days. And they will also work with residential counselors with lived experience. They'll work with clinical care coordinators, and they will also receive psychiatry services at minimum once a week. And that is really designed to provide social rehab, psychoeducational groups, life skills building, supporting with positive social connections with others, and just the opportunity to reset before going back into their permanent placement or transition to other types of housing opportunities that they have. Was there anything in particular you needed me to cover for today, or was it just a pretty high level overview of these services, or if there's any particular questions I can help with?
Are there any kind of restrictions as to who can participate based on, oh yeah, Stephanie put eligibility in the chat as well. So,
so we do serve individuals that are 18 or older that have insurance in Alameda County Medi-Cal Insurance. We do take individuals that are transferring from other counties and need support with transitioning that Medi-Cal as well. Our goal is to be a low barrier access site. So although there is a very small assessment that's done at initial intake or when the call is made, it's more for safety risk assessment to make sure it's the appropriate place to be versus needing to have assessment as far as the 5150 or maybe going to Cherry Hill first and then coming back to us. But we are we're pushing to make sure we're not turning anyone down, even if that means we're supporting, we're connecting them to the appropriate place for services for them.
So the other question in the chat is around kind of the transitioning from downstairs to upstairs. So how often are people, I don't know, becoming clients upstairs after having done the 1 day stay downstairs?
That's a good question. And yes, it is. So we do serve individuals for 23 hours. downstairs in the CSU. So typically the CRT upstairs are able to accept referrals as needed. I would say on a weekly basis, we have about 2 to 3 individuals that will go up to the CRT. And if there's no space available at Amber, Woodrow Place is our crisis residential in Hayward. And so we also receive referrals from the CSU from there as well. The CSU also refers into J. Mahler, which is located in San Leandro. And they can also support with other screenings if they're going into a substance residential treatment program as well.
Yeah, speaking of substances, are there any restrictions about folks who might be under the influence when they are coming on site to get services?
So we do serve individuals with co-occurring disorders and are actively using when they present at the site. Our criteria is to accept those individuals as long as they're able to contract for safety. So for most people, they're able to come in, they'll take a shower, get something to eat, and they'll lay down. And that's totally fine. But if they are a danger to themselves or others, as far as like damaging property maybe, or engaging in aggressive behaviors with reasons on which we would try and there's no limitations on housing status. So we do serve individuals that are both housed and unhoused.
Your sound is going in and out
access to-
for me. Are other people able to? Okay. Your sound is going in and out. I would hate to lose your image, but you might want to turn off your camera. I think that might help us be able to hear you.
Let's see, is that better?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
What was the last thing you heard me say?
You were starting to speak to the unhoused.
Okay, so I was saying we do serve individuals that are both housed and unhoused. That isn't a barrier to access services at either the CSU or the CRT. We often see individuals that are coming from transitional housing or in boarding care homes and have had some challenges in that setting, and they will come to our programs for respite, and we'll go back into those housing placements.
If a community partner wants to make a referral to you all, what's the best way to do that? I know like law enforcement will drop folks off, but like, let's say another agency wants to have a client come over. What's the best way for them to facilitate that?
So for the CSU, we do accept drop-offs, but we do encourage a phone call just to make sure there is space available. So we've seen it both ways where someone will just present at the door, and then there's other instances where they can give a call. The reason why we also do encourage just a brief call if possible is we want to make sure that they have medication with them, or if there's anything we need to begin prepping before they arrive, to make sure our psychiatrists or nurses are aware of what is needed for them, but they can self-present at the door at any time. And I'll send you over there's a very brief assessment with maybe like 4 questions that we typically ask. We do partner often with some of our crisis teams, like Macro, the CAC team, and they don't always have that information because they're not the case management team. So we understand that as well. But if there's any collateral information you can provide, we'll, accept that for sure.
Great, that'd be awesome. Any other questions from our colleagues here?
Yes, definitely.
My one quick question was, wait, I'm sorry, am I jumping in on someone else's?
No, you're okay.
Okay. My question to you is if we wanted to have like a more collaborative, warm connection, who's the best person on your team to kind of reach to try and do that? So kind of, I don't know, like a monthly check-in or like a meet and greet, so that we're
Yeah.
able, like, I'm going to call out Nick. If Nick is at Sally's place and he's like, wow, this client really needs some different supports that we just don't have, or Bax is doing this and this, who would be the best person to be able to pick up the phone and like consult briefly, rather than just kind of send a referral off and then hope that it gets placed?
Absolutely. So I'll put that contact information in the chat, and also I'll send it in the email so you'll have it. Q is our program manager for the crisis stabilization unit, but I'm also available as backup to provide any support and guidance. So I'll put my information as well as his in the chat for you. And we welcome anyone if you're interested in coming over for a tour. We recommend that also if you have any team members, just so they can see the site and be able to just, share more about what it looks like and what that process would be for when a partner does show up for services. We welcome bringing partners by too, so they know ahead of time that this is a resource and they can come here with or without their service team, but at least they are laying their eyes on it pre-crisis. So.
Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, I will say we have had our clinical interns do a tour, and people find that really helpful in terms of, even if trying to refer someone who's a bit ambivalent about going, being able to describe the environment, or being able to just like be like, you walk up and it looks like this, and when you walk in, there's this kind of person that greets you. That kind of begins to reduce some of the additional anxiety associated with like help seeking. So really do encourage people to go see it. And if y'all are ever feeling like you have the bandwidth, if you could make like a little video and like distribute that, I do think it would really help demystify what kind of facility it is. I think people's version of a crisis stabilization unit might be a lot more similar to like a incarceration facility as opposed to a home or a room with couches and things like that. And I think that misconception often becomes a barrier to access of exactly where do I go and what happens to me.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback, and I'll note that and make sure we look into that, because that would be helpful for sure. We have some still pictures, but we could definitely see about creating a video.
Thank you so much, Shanice. We really appreciate you joining us today and making materials available. It's always good to kind of get a refresher on some of these really high impact resources in our community.
No problem. Thank you. And I'll drop the information in the chat as well.
Awesome. Next up, we were going to have Stephanie. Is Danielle here by any chance, or Danielle?
She'll need to be able to share her screen.
Cool. I can't find her. Let me see.
I'm under D.
Okay. All right. I was like, I've been peeking in the guest list. All right. I made you co-host. And I'm also going to pin you so your screen gets bigger so you can share with us the new mobile crisis map.
So Dee is going to navigate while I describe what's going on with this. It's still under construction, but we wanted to give you all an update on what we have put this map on the 988 website and also on the public facing ACBH website. And so Danielle's just going to step us through. So we're going to add a key to it, because I know you're looking like, now what do I do? So there will be a legend to explain. Right. So she just clicked on those arrows. And if we click on mobile crisis team or any of them, it shows the area that the team covers. And then if you hover over a particular section, it will also give you information about the hours of operation and the cities that are covered and how to contact the team. So you have to double click and it'll highlight the area. So this is for mobile crisis North County team. And I think what we're going to also do, if you look at the little box on the left, is put the cities there too, because the public is not going to know what we define as North County. So we'll probably add the cities to that area too. But this is for providers. This is for just the general community as well. Let's try another one. So that's the North County Mobile Crisis Team. Let's try, yeah, any of those. This is a new pilot that is through Bonita and the city of Pleasanton. And so it covers just the city of Pleasanton, and the hours are there. We will also be changing the time from military time, if we can, to standard time, because a lot of people don't know how to use military time. Yeah. And so let's go to like CAT, for example. We are currently working on planning for CAT post-pilot. The pilot ends in June. And so we're excited to continue offering this service, and they're countywide. Yep. And let's go to Hayward.
Does it also say who the responders are if we like scroll down on that little scrolly situation? Yeah,
Let's see. Yep.
perfect.
Yep. So it gives out as much information as we can. We were trying to, figure out a way to make it visually, so people could see the coverage. That was a request from the Board of Supervisors, because of course they're concerned about the constituents and what services are offered where. And then also we wanted to make it more available to providers and the general community so that they know how to contact programs directly if that's the program model. And that we can also reduce the use of law enforcement when law enforcement is not required to respond to a call. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. If you go, for example, to the City of Alameda CARES program, which is also a pilot that's doing some great work in the city of Alameda, you will just see it just covers, yep, City of Alameda. And then you would double click and it gives the information and the phone number. What's wonderful about this program too is that it's 24/7 in the City of Alameda, and ACBH is looking at opportunities for expanding to 24/7 for the rest of the county for mobile crisis. So we will update you accordingly. Any questions about this map or any feedback?
I dropped the links in the chat of the two different places you can find it. One is on the 988 website and the other one is on the ACBH website.
Yes.
I do have some feedback, Stephanie. I think
Yeah.
it's awesome that, at least for this one in particular, all of the details about how the care team shows up, like if you talk about an unmarked van, whether that feels good or not, you did talk about a different branded van, but saying that the police show up, like the police do show up. If the police do show up before the care team shows up, the police will be in the background. This is really great information that's just right in that right up there. So I'm just giving a shout out to that. I think that's super helpful.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anyone else?
I also had like a user, a kind of a user feedback as well. The details on the left side panel, when I went to the website for 988 and ACBH, those little two arrows at the top left corner of the map are not they don't automatically like make somebody say click this to receive more information. And so I'm wondering if if it's not too late in like the designing of this, if there's a way to make that more visible or or yeah, just more visible or indicative of like what that button does.
Definitely, Mercedes. That's the same thing when our IS department created it. I was like, okay, all I see is Alameda County. And she's like, yeah, those arrows. So yes, what we're gonna do is create something up at that top to say, click here. And for more information, do this. So we will be adding that information to it. Yeah, definitely. Because I didn't know
Yeah.
what to do with it either. I was like, okay,
Same.
I see the county, but that's it.
I was like,
Yeah.
my map's broken. It doesn't have it.
Yeah, so we were just so excited that we got this far with it, that we wanted to just show the group. But we will be adding all of that. So people, once you look at it, you know exactly what you need to do. Click on this, double click on this, pull down this, you'll be able to see it for sure. And we may actually think about, because it's kind of grayed out, it feels like it needs to be darker as well. So you know, I wear glasses usually, so we will continue working on it, but this has been a long time coming for sure. So, yep. Anyone else?
And I was just going to say, if any teams ever have any updates, make sure you keep the folks who run this updated, because this information is only as good as our inputs into the
Yes.
system. So just the
Yeah.
shout out and advocacy for people to really actively engage with it, because I do think, like, for us at CSS, this is like a huge benefit, but I do think for other providers too, to just be able to see what's available when this is definitely what we had always wanted.
Yeah, great. Very
Awesome.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's it for us.
Oh, Alexis is asking what's the best way to update if something's changing.
You can just email, Danielle, can you put your information in and we'll make sure it gets to the folks who update our database, and then we would alert CSS too. I'm sure it'll just automatically update. I know I'm using all the wrong language. I'm not a tech person, but yeah, we will update it.
Carla, what's up?
I'm wondering if the list that Henning, the SharePoint list that Henning circulates would also be another way to update, or Stephanie, is that separate?
You know what? I'm not sure, but I will find out the
Thank
SharePoint
you.
for updates.
Because
Yep.
I always update that one.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. SharePoint. Yep. All right.
That's awesome. Thank you. While you have the mic, any other updates you wanted to provide from your end of the crisis world?
No, other than, you know, we're looking at, you know, the continuation of CAT. I did say that, and collaborating with all the different mobile crisis teams that are either being piloted by specific cities, and our county operated teams are still, you know, providing care. We got a little bit of grant money to work on marketing. And so what we're looking to do is not only to market our mobile crisis teams, but to market 988. And I know that EMS will start wrapping the rigs, the ambulances, with 988 information as well. So we're all working together to try to get the information to the public so that we can reduce the calls to 911 when 911 is not needed. So, yep. I don't think I have anything else. Yesenia, do you have, I think she's on. Do we have anything
Yes.
else to update about what we're doing?
We do not right now, but we'll keep you guys posted.
Great. Thank you.
And here's what the ambulances are going to look like. Just a little sneak peek at the ambulances.
I just
Yeah.
have to say, I'm excited to see our systems getting more integrated with stuff like this, right? You know, it's overdue.
Yeah. You know, I just want to say it's just so great to have great partners like Nargis and her team. You know, when we implemented the CAT program, you know, it created more of a relationship between EMS. We've always had great, you know, collaboration with OPD and now other law enforcement agencies, Hayward and San Leandro. And so also having these kind of meetings and getting feedback from you all who are, you know, providing care also, like we have to move in this direction. So yeah, so we will continue for sure.
And there's a question in chat about who's part of the marketing project. Is there an input process where you might be taking considerations?
You know, you can always email me directly through Danielle. Danielle's going to put her information in. EMS had its own process going on, but when we look, for example, of more marketing through our mobile crisis vehicles, which are county vehicles, you know, we want some continuity, but yeah, you can always make suggestions. We also have to look at our vulnerable populations and our other populations in terms of language capacity and all of that. So any feedback, you can always send it to me and I'll make sure it gets to the right folks.
Thank you so much for opening that door, Danielle. Thank you. You'll see some emails with some gentle suggestions. It's really great. Like you said, this is exactly what we need to be able to really get to the meaningfulness of what we're trying to lift. So thank you.
A couple updates from CSS, not exactly 988 related, but suicide prevention related. We have a series going right now called Redefining Suicide Prevention, where they're mostly on Fridays, but next week we have one on a Tuesday. We are engaging in conversations, and I put a link in the chat, with different kinds of folks about how their work in the community is part of suicide prevention, even though they're not considered traditionally as part of like the mental health provision world. Today's speaker was Melanie Cervantes, who's a local artist. And if you see her art, you would totally recognize it. She does screen printing with like social justice messaging, as well as messaging around culture and belonging. And she spoke about how art has been a part of her own healing, and how belonging, a sense of culture, seeing ourselves reflected can be part of the healing journey. Anyways, there's been all of them have been recorded. There's links on that site, but we still have a number of them coming. Next Tuesday, I'm doing a conversation with a former 49er on how experiencing a loss due to suicide of a friend of his really kind of impacted him, and also his own journey help seeking, and telling his story, even though there was tremendous, I think, energy wanting to keep him silent about his mental health struggles. So these are open to anyone, anywhere really. They're on Zoom. We do have one in person next Friday at, I forget the name of the place, but it's about movement, and it's going to be in person at, does any of my colleagues know it off the top of my head? I know there's crisis support people here. What's it called?
The athletic playground?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, so we'll be there at Kinetic Arts Center next week, doing an in-person one. And so, yeah, just putting it out there if folks are interested. And the other thing that I wanted to kind of give a quick plug for is we are having a kind of community event, which includes a 1 mile walk run at Laney and a health and wellness fair that many people here have participated in the past. So if you want to sign up for your agency to have a table at the Health and Wellness Fair, I put the link to the form here for folks to sign up. And I'll also put the link for the walk run here. And kind of a fun fact, we're expecting to have one of those ambulances there for people to see. So you can come and take a picture with a 988 ambulance if that's really your kind of fun. The event's in the morning at 9 o'clock, and it'll be done by 11. So a quick Saturday morning outing with the family. It is free to register and attend. So we hope to see folks there. And with that, any updates from people in the room? Any of the providers, colleagues who have any service updates or program information that you wanted to give a quick shout out to before we adjourn?
I can share that we have a
Please.
new Spanish language intake coordinator for our Spanish language access, which thank you for snapping, Nargis. You know the struggle is real. So, you know, it's a small start. We have her for 10 hours, but we're building, right? And we're expanding and we're growing. So, and I appreciate the snaps always.
Yeah, on the same note, actually, we have recently increased our ability to provide Spanish language Teens for Life education to teens. This is our school-based presentations to young people on recognizing the signs, knowing the resources and things like that. And we now have a full-time Teens for Life educator who is focused on providing those sessions in Spanish. And we have a Spanish-speaking parent educator currently in training. So once she is up and running, we will reach out to you all if you run any kind of parent groups or any other services where you have parents who could benefit from a Spanish-speaking presentation on suicide prevention. We would love to partner, and all of these obviously are free to our community partners.
That's awesome to know. I will be hitting you up, Nargis, I'm sure. Or having our access intake coordinator also reaching. Thank you.
Okay. Any other program updates? All right. With that, we appreciate everyone for being here today. Our next meeting is not till July 7th. So in the meanwhile, if you have anything that you want distributed to the list, please go ahead and contact me. Or if you want to present on a program of yours or an expansion that you're doing to better serve those in crisis in our county, please reach out and we're happy to put you on the agenda for next time. This is a great space for us, I think, to stay up to date on what everyone's doing and be able to really plug people into the right part of the crisis continuum. So I really feel grateful for people making the time on a Friday to be. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for coordinating and hosting, Nargis.
Of course. Thanks, everyone. See you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
I'll send the notes out soon.
Bye.